Nerdy sports fan here with your post-game breakdown of the Saints versus the Eagles. Now, early on in this game, Nick Foles and the Eagles really showed up. They were all over the Saints. Now, they got a 14-0 lead very quickly. And it was looking like the Eagles were well on their way to another Super Bowl. Especially considering they've already beaten the Rams pretty badly earlier this year in the first game that Nick Foles was back in that lineup. So, everybody was starting to put memes out there of, hey, Nick Foles calling Carson Wentz. Yeah, coach says you just got to pack your suitcase. Yeah. Personally, I think Nick Foles is a better quarterback for this offense, and he should be the quarterback moving forward, but that's probably not the direction the Eagles are going to go. Especially considering after that 14-point lead, quickly, the Saints made some adjustments, and they got back to 14-10 just before the half, and in the second half, it was really all Saints. They got their touchdown. Michael Thomas was the main reason for that. The man was all over the place. At some point in the second half, it was the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth, a stat came across the bottom of the screen. Michael Thomas had 110 yards since the first quarter, and the entire Eagles offense had 100. So they got their connection, Breeze and Thomas, going after the first quarter, and that really helped their offense. The more important factor, though, was what happened on the defensive side. This is what's going on with the Saints now. They're actually a full team. They have running backs. It's not just Drew Brees on the offense. And, other side of the ball, the defense can make adjustments, has talent, and can lock people down when they need to. And that's exactly what happened. The main adjustment that they made was Marshawn Lattimore going strictly up against Alshon Jeffrey and shadowing him all over the field. Taking that option away as much as possible really limited Nick Foles' options. They began the game trying to go after the quarterback and realized they weren't getting to Nick Foles. So after the first quarter and throughout the entire second half, instead, they focused more on coverage manipulation, focusing on jamming the wide receivers at the line of scrimmage and really making it difficult for them to break open. Foles really didn't run it all. He's not really that kind of guy anyway, but he would have needed to do something like that, or they would have needed to get some sort of action going in the running game in order to make the adjustments they needed to take advantage of what the Saints were doing on defense, and they just never did. Doug Peterson kept on dialing up pass plays, and I get that they were down 17-14 at one point, and then later 20-14 after the Saints made a late field goal. The Eagles' defense did a great job forcing them into that field goal. They were within range, for a while, and Fletcher Cox made some good plays. That defense really depends on him. When he was in there, they were doing really well. When he was out due to injury, which happened multiple points in the game, they didn't have answers for the Saints. So Fletcher Cox deserves every dollar that he makes from Philly, and probably deserves a raise, because that defense is really nothing without the pressure that he applies. Pressure up the middle jams quarterbacks like Drew Brees who can't move. So it was very evident that his injury had a great impact on Philly's defense. You would assume that this outcome could have been different, actually, for multiple reasons. Late in the game, the Saints are up 20-14, and they're driving, and they're within field goal range, and a fantastic defensive play pushes them back, made by Fletcher Cox. And Lutz has a longer field goal to deal with afterwards, and he pushes it. He made wide right. And there's a dome. There's no reason for that. You have your home crowd being polite and not trying to get into your head while they're getting into the other teams. And there's no weather to deal with. So I get that it's a long field goal, but yeah, there's no excuse in a dome. I'm sorry. But either way, that didn't come back to haunt them. Even though the Eagles were driving, and it was looking grim for the Saints. At that point, they had a one-possession game, and they really could have stuck it to the Saints. They really could have. But Alshon Jeffrey, who was the hero earlier in the game, lets one slip through his hands. And Marshawn Lattimore picks it off. No timeouts left for the Eagles. It was game over at that point. All they had to do was make one first down. And they did on a great running play. So the balance that the Saints have now really showed in this game. And they won in different ways. Yes, Drew Brees made some good throws. And Michael Thomas caught the ball a lot. Alvin Kamara was all over the place. But Ingram with a tough running game. And the defense making adjustments and clamping down when they needed to against the Eagles was the real difference in this one. So we have a complete New Orleans team next week in their home dome going up against the Rams for the NFC Championship game. And that's going to be a fantastic one to watch. I think the Saints might have it, but check out my preview game videos to see what I really think about it. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. I'll be seeing you later on in the week.